Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage Susie Hamilton, Secretary of the North Carolina Department of Natural and Cultural Resources.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 55th annual presentation of the North Carolina Awards. I'm Susie Hamilton, Secretary of the North Carolina Department of Natural and Cultural Resources, and it is my privilege to welcome you tonight as we celebrate 6 remarkable North Carolinians. We are also honored tonight to be joined by Governor Roy Cooper and First Lady Kristen Cooper. Also, we are honored to have with us this evening representatives from the Governor's office, his senior staff, and cabinet agencies, our judicial system, and our university system. Thank you all for your dedicated service to the people of North Carolina. And now it is my great pleasure to introduce Louise Coggins, Chair of the North Carolina Awards Committee.
The North Carolina Awards were created by the North Carolina General Assembly in 1961 and have been presented annually since 1964. The awards recognize significant contributions to the state and nation in the fields of fine arts, literature, public service, and science. Each year, the awards are a chance for us to honor men and women who reflect the very best in innovation, creativity, artistic endeavors, and humanitarian service. The process for selecting these 6 outstanding North Carolinians has been gratifying, not only because of the accomplishments of our recipients, but because of the hard work of the members of the committee with whom I have had the honor of serving. Thomas DeFrance, Eleanor Owen, Cindy Patterson, and John Wilson. Would the members of our committee who are with us tonight please stand and be recognized? It is my honor tonight to welcome the previous award winners who are with us this evening. As I call your name, I'll ask each of you to stand and remain standing. Audience, please hold your applause until all of the previous recipients are standing. Dr. Vinay Aneja, Dr. James Applewhite, Joanne Bath, Margaret Bauer, Joseph M. Bryan Jr., Myron Cohen, Frank Daniels Jr., Julia Jones Daniels, Martin Lancaster, R. Michael Leonard, Dr. Charles Sanders, and Thomas H. Sayre. Please join me in applauding these great North Carolinians. Tonight, we also remember previous North Carolina Award winners who passed away over the last year. Philip G. Freelon, Erwin Fridovich, James Weingarten. We are all enriched by their having been among us, and we will miss them very much. Please pause for a moment of silence. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, before we enjoy our dinner, please rise and join me in a toast to our award winners. Here's the land of the long-leaf pine, the summer land where the sun doth shine, where the weak grow strong and the strong grow great. Here's to down home, the old North State. Here, here.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back to the stage Secretary Susie Hamilton.
Thank you all again for joining us tonight as we present the 2019 North Carolina Awards. I want to thank our sponsors for this evening. This event would not have been possible without the generous support of the Bob Barker Company, Wells Fargo, Martin Marietta, Joseph M. Bryan, the Duke University Division of Pediatric Infectious Diseases, Thomas S. Keenan III, WCPE, the classical station, the CBC WRAL Community Fund of the Triangle Community Foundation, William Roper, Eugene L. Roberts, Advance Auto Parts, Immunoregents Incorporated, the Infectious Disease Society of America, the University of North Carolina at Wilmington, Colleges of Arts and Sciences, and Secretary Betty Ray McCain. And a special thanks to Lenovo, who sponsors our Lenovo sponsors our Teachers of the Year. Wells Fargo, who sponsors our Principals of the Year. And our partner, the North Carolina Literary and Historical Association. Thank you all so much for your support. It is my honor to serve as a member of Governor Roy Cooper's cabinet. Governor Cooper often says he wants a North Carolina where people are better educated, healthier, and have more money in their pockets so that they can live a more abundant and purposeful life. During his many years of distinguished public service to this state, he has consistently demonstrated his commitment to delivering on that promise to all North Carolinians. And now, it is my very great pleasure to introduce to you the Honorable Governor of North Carolina, Mr. Roy Cooper.
Thank you all very much and welcome tonight. Before we start our awards ceremony, I want to first thank Secretary Hamilton for her strong leadership and all of the staff and people who put this on tonight. Let's give them a big hand. We're really grateful for that. And I also want to say a thank you to the First Lady of North Carolina, Kristen. Kristen has finished the 80th county on her 100-county tour, helping North Carolina's children, promoting the arts in our state parks, and I'm grateful for her and as we've continued on this journey together. It is my pleasure tonight, and this is, I know I love all of our award winners, but I think this is my favorite thing. I want to recognize our state's Teachers and Principals of the Year. There are 5 Regional Principals of the Year, and I would like to call their names and ask that they stand and be recognized, and would ask that you hold your applause until they're all standing. First, Matthew Bristow Smith, the 2019 Wells Fargo North Carolina Principal of the Year and North Central Regional Principal of the Year from Edgecombe County Public Schools. Sean Gaylord, the Piedmont Triad Regional Principal of the Year from Lexington City Schools. James Bo Mullins, the Sandhills Regional Principal of the Year from Sampson County Schools. Elizabeth P. Pierce, the Southeast Regional Principal of the Year from Lenoir County Schools, and Dr. Brandon Sutton, the Western Regional Principal of the Year from Swain County Schools. Let's give them a hand, all of them a hand. There are 9 Regional Teachers of the Year, and as I call their names, I'll ask that they also stand and be recognized, and again, please hold your applause until all are standing. Douglas Price, Charter Schools Teacher of the Year from Voyager Academy. C.R. Katie Eddings, North Central Regional Teacher of the Year from Lee County Schools. Damon Walcott, Northeast Regional Teacher of the Year from Beaufort County Schools. Laura Brooks, Northwest Regional Teacher of the Year from Wilkes County Schools. Sheila Patterson, Piedmont Triad Regional Teacher of the Year from Stokes County Schools. Mariah Morris, Sandhills Regional Teacher of the Year from Moore County Schools. Christy Howell, Southeast Regional Teacher of the Year from New Hanover County Schools. Kate Culbreth, Southwest Regional Teacher of the Year from Cabarrus County Schools. And Cesar Campana, Western Regional Teacher of the Year from Clay County Schools. Let's give all of our teachers a big hand. We want to support all of these educators, continue to push to help them, to make them get the respect that they deserve across the board, and to help them fulfill the mandate of our state's Constitution that every child in North Carolina is entitled to a sound basic education. Thank you, educators. We are grateful for you. Tonight, I'm proud to present the North Carolina Award, our highest civilian award, to 6 remarkable people. Over the years, we've honored artists, poets, writers, musicians, journalists, scientists, and public servants with this award to recognize their work and contributions to our state. Tonight, we add the names of 6 more extraordinary North Carolinians to that list. A brilliant and compassionate physician who saved countless lives through her groundbreaking research. A visionary leader who shepherded the growth of one of North Carolina's most renowned public museums. A pioneer in the field of radio broadcasting, whose life's work has brought joy to the lives of people around the world. An award-winning author whose work shines a light on North Carolina's history, environment, and culture. A distinguished and skilled jurist known for his integrity, fairness, and compassion. And an inspiring orator and social justice advocate who built a national grassroots movement dedicated to fighting poverty and racism in America. And now for our first award recipient. Millions of people around the world owe their lives to the pioneering research conducted by our first award winner. Born in California, in 1969, she moved to North Carolina to work in pediatrics at Duke University School of Medicine. During the early 1980s, the devastating effect of AIDS on children inspired her to establish a pediatric infectious disease clinic at Duke. Her research proved that giving HIV-positive pregnant women AZT, the first FDA-approved treatment for HIV, would reduce the risk of AIDS transmission from mothers to their unborn infants. Today, the maternal transmission rate of HIV in the United States is less than 1%, in large part due to her research and advocacy. As scientific director of the Elizabeth Glaser Pediatric AIDS Foundation, she led international efforts to prevent mother-to-child transmission of HIV in the developing world. And now, let's learn more about Dr. Catherine Wilfert.
Kathy came from California. She was a transplant to the East Coast when she went to Harvard Medical School, which, by the way, I think accepted maybe 4 women at the time. She made North Carolina her home. She adopted it 1,000%. To receive the reward from North Carolina is just so apt and so wonderful because of the amount of time that she spent. I mean, her life from 1969 until today is 100% concentrated on North Carolina. Kathy was, without question, and remains cognitively way ahead of her time. As a scientist, I think her work speaks for itself. When nobody had any idea whether retroviruses were important, whether they just existed in nature, this is long before HIV had become an epidemic. Her leadership then in trying to attack what was an awful, awful epidemic, specifically maternal to fetal transplant of the virus and cutting that out of the equation of the AIDS epidemic, was remarkable in many ways. One was scientific and intellectual. The other was that she collaborated, which was so typical of Kathy. She collaborated, being a professor at Duke, with those down the street at UNC, which many people would never do, not just because of sports, but because Duke is Duke and UNC is UNC. And Kathy developed that research and worked with a coalition that she created, and then, when it was shown to work so incredibly effectively, took it globally. I think it's certainly fair to say that she saved, without question, millions of lives, absolutely millions of lives, and that's hard for anybody, never mind a colleague or a son or any other family member, to really think about and grasp. It's an absolute remarkable achievement, and it's been brought up to us on many occasions, and it's incredibly humbling. Kathy was overwhelmingly humbled and honored by receiving this award, and wished she were feeling better physically, such that she could be with everyone in person to tell them exactly that. But I can assure you, she is beyond thrilled and honored to receive the award.
Ladies and gentlemen, as you heard, our 2019 North Carolina Award winner for Science, Dr. Catherine Wilfert, is unfortunately not able to be with us tonight, but please welcome to the stage Dr. Ross McKinney, Jr., who will accept the award on her behalf.
So I'm sure Kathy would have loved to have been here. She's an incredible human being. And the story of how she came up actually with the idea of using AZT to prevent the transmission of HIV from mother to children was absolutely instrumental in making an enormous public health difference, so that, as you heard, the rate of transmission now of HIV from mothers to children has gone from about 28% to less than 1%. And it's largely Kathy Wilfert's idea. And not only did she do that, but part of what made Kathy so special was she made sure that we implemented that across North Carolina. So she worked with the health departments, with the folks at UNC, with the state health department, to try and disseminate this best practice in order to prevent transmission. And so North Carolina was a pioneer, and Kathy was the reason that we were such a pioneer in trying to treat and prevent the spread of pediatric HIV disease. At a time where it was a really difficult and challenging condition, Kathy was there as a remarkable human being.
Our next award winner is the longest serving director of North Carolina's own renowned Museum of Art. In 1994, he was appointed director of the North Carolina Museum of Art, where he increased the museum's collections and expanded its physical space to include a new building, amphitheater, sculpture gardens, and the museum park. Thanks to his vision and leadership, North Carolina is home to one of the most celebrated art museums in the country, a place where people from across our state can experience great art and explore their own creativity. And now, in his own words, Larry Wheeler.
I'm a great believer in community and democratic access to the arts. And coming back to North Carolina, where I'd been before, this gave me the chance to head up one of the great cultural institutions of the Southeast. And I saw enormous opportunity to develop an institution I knew pretty well and try to create awareness about the great asset that was the North Carolina Museum of Art and its extraordinary collection. And I saw opportunity to create programs around the museum that would engage and excite the community of North Carolina. Iris Cantor, she and her husband developed the largest collection of Rodin in private hands in the world. So when we wanted to do a big Rodin show in 2000, it only made sense that I had to meet Iris Cantor. And we established a rapport and friendship that continued beyond the exhibition. And eventually I went to her and I said, Iris, you know, we're building this new building and it's a great opportunity for you to think about giving some of your Rodins away. And so we worked at it. And eventually she agreed to give 30 Rodins to the North Carolina Museum of Art. So it's really an important collection. It's great because it's here in the center of these universities that have access to it, and to everybody from far and wide who loves Rodin. Great art and great exhibitions that engage the community and excite the community. It's a conversation. You can't be doing something just because it's intellectual or scholarly. You have to do something that connects with their souls, something they are aware of and want to be a part of. I think part of the strength of my administration has been my very cordial relationship with the state of North Carolina, with the Department of Natural and Cultural Resources, and with the government, whether Democrat or Republican. We've been able to have close working relationships. So the resources we've needed have been there. What I'm really proud of is that we've created a strong public-private partnership so that the private side has risen to the occasion and surpassed the public investment in what we get in this museum. I am really proud that we stepped up our commitment to collecting the underrepresented artists of the world. What thrills me the most is when I can walk through these galleries and see people from every cultural background. And I will see people all together enjoying their art in their art museum. That's thrilling to me.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the recipient of the 2019 Award for Fine Arts, Mr. Lawrence J. Wheeler.
Thank you. Yeah, for nearly 50 years, I have worked to be worthy of being called a North Carolinian. So this honor is especially meaningful to me. And I thank you from deep in my heart. I look out and I see friends. I see partners and colleagues. I see ingenious artists, all who have enriched my life, and of course my partner and my husband, Don. I share this honor, this medal with you, and I thank you for contributing your great talent and leadership, very clever leadership at times, to the making of a more vibrant North Carolina, a glorious North Carolina. Together, we have made new museums, known for their innovation, known for the quality of their programs and the engagement of the community. We have designed cultural experiences that embrace all of our cultures among our people. We have created these special places, parks included, where the lives of North Carolinians are honored and lifted up. It's because we believe that all the arts and all artistic voices, from the traditional to the most contemporary and avant-garde, should be available to all our people without prejudice. This has been my motivating energy, and I believe it has been our collective will. I, as a North Carolinian, thank you for the chance to lend a hand. Thank you.
Our next award recipient says the best advice she ever received was from her dad. Figure out what you would be willing to do for free and then make that your career. She loved broadcasting and engineering, so in the early 1970s, she and 4 classmates at North Carolina State University built a 12,500-watt radio transmitter by hand. They connected it to a makeshift studio in a house 5 miles from campus, and WCPE was born. More than 40 years later, WCPE is still on the air, now sharing classical music with people across North Carolina and around the world through satellite and the internet. The station has become an integral part of life, not just for its audience, but for its dedicated staff and volunteers, and for the local community. And now, in her own words, Deborah Proctor.
I like broadcasting. I like TV. My father was an electrical engineer, and I've always loved radio. My father said, find something that you would do for free, and then see if you can get a job like that. And that's what this place is. And we actually incorporated way back in 1973. Although it's like antique now, I still build everything. The FCC came out here to take a look at what we did. The guy was just, you made all this? And I said, yes, sir. And he says, does it really work? Yes, sir. And he just said, I've never seen this before. No one's done this while I was in the FCC. The first thing we aired was the BBC World News. Then we played Saint-Saëns organ concerto. I just knew that this is what I was supposed to do. I thought maybe we could get enough donations to pay the power bill. We were playing a little bit of popular music. We did the news, and then the classical music came on. Then we did a fundraiser, and the classical music people were the only ones to contribute. I said, they're doing this for the music. Let's go classical full-time. The FCC had a rule to prevent close-by stations from interfering with each other. For some reason, they only changed it for the commercial stations. They didn't change it for the nonprofits and the educational. We needed that. It took about 3 years of lobbying them. We got a 50,000 name petition. The FCC said they didn't want to do it because it would cause more paperwork for them. I said, guys, you know it and I know it. It's the right thing to do. So they actually changed their rules and regulations. I've had so many good people come through here, and they do it for love of the music. We are the station for people who never thought they liked classical music, but when they found us, they did. We try and play music that the average person would like. All we do is classical music. The internet is getting so widespread. We've got folks at the weather station in Antarctica who listen to us. It reaches everywhere. And I never, ever expected this. The whole operation, the whole station, the volunteers that come out just during fundraiser time to answer the phone, they're the ones making it possible. I just put the puzzle pieces together, but they gave me the puzzle pieces. I consider it a little miracle. I really do. And I was just happy to play a part in it.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the recipient of the 2000 North Carolina Award, 2019 North Carolina Award for Public Service, Deborah Proctor.
I'd like you to imagine how you would feel if you know that several million people were liable to see your hair all frizzed up like that. When the awards committee called and said, can you make a certain night available? I said, yeah, I can do that. And a few days later, staff said, do you know what the evening there is for? I said, well, maybe they want me to introduce somebody, do something like that. And they said, no, not quite. You are getting the state's highest award to a civilian. And I go, huh? I consider this a great honor, a very great honor. The concept of the station was grown by volunteers completely at first. Then we had enough contributions to hire a very small staff, and we grew on from that. And I want to make sure you know that the volunteers, the supporters of the station, and the employees who work there, we finally got to where we can have some employees. They're the ones that do the backbone work. There's someone out there all the time. We get so many phone calls, it's very busy. But it couldn't have been done if they weren't there. And I'd like to thank them for their good work. And hopefully we can continue to grow and thrive and share this music with everybody. So on behalf of everyone at WCPE, staff, volunteers, supporters, I thank you very much for this. I don't know what it's for. Maybe I'll introduce somebody. So, all right, thank you very much.
Our next award winner spent summers fishing on the Outer Banks and exploring the culture and people of North Carolina. As an author, his work explores some of our state's most challenging history, recounting the experiences of everyday people during the Civil War and the Wilmington coup of 1898. He is the author of 13 books of fiction and nonfiction, as well as numerous TV scripts, radio essays, and magazine series. He helped develop the creative writing program at the University of North Carolina at Wilmington, where he has taught since 1989. His writing illuminates North Carolina's past, its people, and its culture, and unearths the essential truths that lie underneath. And now, in his own words, Philip Gerard.
I did start out as a reporter. When I got out of college, a little while later, I got a job with a little weekly newspaper in my hometown of Newark, Delaware. And we were urged by our editor to go out and find stories. And he would always say, get a story. He didn't care about articles, he wanted stories. So among other things, I jumped out of helicopters with Marines. I then got to perform a couple of shows with the Clyde Beatty Cole Brothers Circus as a clown. It was wonderful training because it was the first time I got a chance to be the person who gets to go backstage. It just meant that I got to see behind the scenes, and I loved that. And that was kind of set me on my path to becoming a writer for real. This program here in this department of creative writing has really become, I think, a kind of cultural literary anchor for the whole region. It's an energizing force, I think, in the literary community. I always tell my students, you need to have ignorance and then you have to have curiosity. You have to find something that you become really interested in but know nothing about. And so you don't write what you know, you write what you really, really want to find out about, and then you find out about it. And the most interesting things tend to be complex things, and complex things tend to cause controversy. But you can't really turn over any rock that's interesting enough and not come up with some kind of a controversy. The Last Battleground is an attempt to tell the story pretty much of the entire Civil War through the lens of one state. And it turns out that North Carolina is the best state to do that because it sort of mirrored all the divisions and all the issues that the whole country at large and the South were feeling. North Carolina was divided three ways. About a third of the population was either enslaved African American or Lumbee Indian or Cherokee. Of the remaining two-thirds, half of those were Confederates, half of those were Unionists. All those human stories add up to a panorama that's far more interesting and complicated than the kind of North-South battle lines, big battle, and then Lincoln frees the slaves narrative, which is sort of the fifth grade version that we all got in our history class. Most stories that you get from history are so layered with the mythology of people that have come after that fact and have kind of interpreted it for whatever particular agenda they have, even very honorable agendas. But it changes the truth of it, and you have to kind of keep going down through the layers and try to get to that essential actuality. And I guess I've never shied away. I've just always thought, your job is to go for it.
The long gray line has broken now. The bugler sounds retreat.
Taking a guitar into a new environment is like an instant connection to make friends. And I've always told my students, when you go to a place, any place, however long you're going to be there, be there. You know, be of the place, understand it, roam around in it, meet the people who live there, find out its history, find out its geography, really absorb it, get it inside of you. It's kind of a good feeling to really sink your fingers into the earth of a place and understand it in a way that you never do when you're just passing through. And I think that's a good thing for a writer, because the deeper you can be in a place, the more you can understand its nuance and start to, after many years, finally understand some of what you're actually seeing and what it means.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the recipient of the 2019 North Carolina Award for Literature, Philip Gerard.
Good evening. I'm honored and humbled by this recognition from a state that I've been privileged to call home for more than 30 years now. I have far too many people to thank for all they've given me: family, friends, teachers, fellow writers, readers, students. You know who you are. I'll name only these: my late parents, Felix and Margaret, who taught me the value of books; my brother Stephen and his wife Laura, who journeyed here from California; my sister Sharon and her husband Mike, who came in from Ohio to share this evening; Sister Marie Bernadette, my first grade teacher, who taught me to read and write, and what a lovely gift that has turned out to be; and my wife Jill, my support and counsel in all things. Words of truth have never mattered more. I believe in the writer as a witness to evil, as a reporter of injustice, as a chronicler of human compassion, even on occasion of greatness, as one whose skills illuminate the truth with a capital T without irony. I believe it is the job of the writer to put into words what is worst and also what is best about us, to light up our possibilities, to discover the finest lives to which we can aspire, and to inspire our readers to greatness of soul and heart. I will continue to do my best to live this credo, and I thank you all for this magnificent award.
Our next award recipient is known for his compassion and fairness throughout his career as an attorney and judge. Born in Robeson County during the Great Depression, he studied law at Wake Forest University before returning to his hometown to practice, and later going on to become a judge of the North Carolina Court of Appeals. In 1980, President Jimmy Carter nominated him to the United States District Court of the Eastern District of North Carolina, where he has served for nearly 40 years, ruling in many crucial cases. And now, in his own words, Judge Earl Britt.
In the 1930s and 1940s, my father ran a country store in the little village of McDonald. I'm sure learning the values that I did of a small community, rural community, interracial community, poor community, and getting to know that side of people and of society is bound to have had an influence. Personally, I got into the profession following my older brother David, who was a judge on the North Carolina Court of Appeals and the North Carolina Supreme Court. There were 6 boys in my family, and 4 of us turned out to be lawyers. My mother and father sent me to Campbell Junior College for my first 2 years, and then on to Wake Forest, where I went to both undergraduate and law school. I had 2 brothers who went there, one of whom graduated. My son went there and graduated. It's been a family tradition. I didn't have any huge plans of going out and having a terrible effect on the world. There are so many ways in which each of us can serve the public. Good citizenship demands public service. I can truthfully say that I've never been intimidated by any case that I've had before me, and I attribute that to the wisdom of Frank Dupree, who very early told me that I needed to move on from a decision in this case because there's so many other cases in front of me demanding attention, and those people involved in those cases deserve a judge who is not burdened about the thoughts of an old case that he got through with. And as a result, I've never had problems sleeping at night before an important case or anything like that. All of the judges of our court, I think, consider it one of their highest duties to preside over naturalization ceremonies when new citizens are brought into our society and gain citizenship. It's the most enlightening thing that ever happened to me as a judge. I've always considered myself a Tar Heel, not in the sports sense because I'm a Wake Forest alumni. I'm Tar Heel bred and Tar Heel fed, and when I die, I'll be Tar Heel dead. I love this state, and home is here in North Carolina, and I consider the award that Governor Cooper is giving me to be a very high highlight of my career. I really do. Very appreciative.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the recipient of the 2019 Award for Public Service, Judge W. Earl Britt.
Governor Cooper, Secretary Hamilton, Congressman Price, fellow award recipients, friends. I'm both honored and humbled to receive this award, and I accept it with pride and humility. It is especially significant for me to get it along with my fellow recipients, none of whom I had met before tonight, but all of whom I have known and admired by reputation. One area of my life cited in the award is my involvement in our reentry court, which we call Hope Court, as it can give and often has given hope to those coming out of prison and facing the menace of drug addiction. It is a lengthy and rigorous process, and those who complete it are rewarded at a graduation ceremony and in other ways. I'm delighted that we have 2 of our graduates here tonight, Amy Sneed and Terry Barnes, who I would ask to stand. I thank Catherine Arrowood and all others who had any part in making this happen. I also thank my wife, Judy, and our children, most of whom are here tonight, for their unwavering love and support. T. Boone Pickens, the Oklahoma oil man and philanthropist who died recently, left a note for his family, which quoted liberally from a poem by Susan White Kessinger. That poem follows. Sometime when you're feeling important, sometime when your ego's in bloom, sometime when you take it for granted you're the best qualified in the room, sometime when you feel that your going would leave an unfillable hole, just follow these simple instructions and see how they humble your soul. Take a bucket and fill it with water. Put your hand in up to the wrist. Pull it out, and the hole that's remaining is a measure of how you'll be missed. You can splash all you wish when you enter. You may stir up the water galore, but stop, and you'll find that in no time, it looks quite the same as before. The moral of this quaint example is to do just the best that you can. Be proud of yourself. But remember, there's no indispensable man. Thank you.
And now for our next award. A pastor and social justice advocate, our next award winner is known for his deep commitment to the most marginalized among us. As the voice of the North Carolina NAACP, he built an unprecedented coalition of NAACP chapters, social justice organizations, people of faith, and other advocacy groups to form historic thousands on Jones Street, with the goal of influencing legislative policies on health care, voting rights, and immigration. His movement soon spread to other states, successfully challenging voter suppression and gerrymandering while registering thousands of voters. His most recent initiative is a revival of a project begun by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. The New Poor People's Campaign, a national call for moral revival, takes a social justice movement with roots in North Carolina and moves it to the national stage. And now, in his own words, the Reverend Dr. William Barber.
I was born in Indianapolis, Indiana, and my father got a call from the principal, an all-black school in Roper, asking my dad if he would come back home. My parents moved from teaching at desegregated schools in Indiana to back to segregated schools in Washington County to be a part of the army of people that would help desegregate schools. Early on, I understood clearly that life was not just about what you could get from it, but what you could do with it. Wherever you are, you can always serve, and to have been born in a family that went back to the South, what does that obligate me to do with my life? I decided that I would accept this call. I was brought up, if you're gonna be a servant for your people, you do everything to prepare yourself for that service. Education is not somewhere where you get education to look down on people, you get education to serve. You cannot really say you care about the people you pastor if you're not concerned about the public policy that impacts their lives. There are moral principles that are supposed to guide our public policy that have nothing to do with what party you're in. It has all to do with our deeper moral values. And whenever anybody, whether it's Democrat or Republican, are violating those principles, we need to stand up and challenge.
We must shock this nation and fight for justice for all.
You never know if The moment you're in is the moment when things will change, or the moment you're in is the moment that you're sowing the seeds for the change that will come, maybe even after you're gone.
This is about right and wrong. This is about justice and injustice.
What Moral Monday did was it broke through all of those preconceived notions in the South and in North Carolina. And we proved that you can build fusion in the South, and it can be sustained. It was a group of us went in on Monday to challenge and to say they might do these things, but it will not happen in the dark. And then the next week, people came back. We decided to build a fusion coalition and not a transactional coalition, where people are only a part of it till they win their issue and then they leave. But then it grew to thousands, people of every race, creed, and color. And we came up with this mantra, forward together, not one step back. I love this state, even when I've struggled in this state. North Carolina is where I learned to walk. It's where I learned to talk. It's where I cut my preaching tooth. It's where my father's is buried. It's where I hope to be buried. It's where it is a blessing when your own state, even a state you've challenged, says to you, we thank you, and we recognize that your challenging was never a matter of disdain, but the challenging was simply because you wanted North Carolina to be and not to seem.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage the recipient of the 2019 North Carolina Award for Public Service, the Reverend Dr. William J. Barber II.
I'm honored to be here tonight, and to Secretary Hamilton, to the Chairwoman, Sister Coggins, to all of the preceding recipients, and to our governor, who knows how to hold the line and stop a budget that's going to hurt sick folk and hurt public education and hurt the least of these. Governor, hold the line. Hold the line. I cannot accept this honor by myself. I must first accept it humbly in the grace of God. And in the name of my father, my mother, who's here, my father's deceased, both who work for justice and help integrate public schools in North Carolina. And my brother, that I miss, my baby brother, my only brother, whose funeral I preached this past January. I can only accept this in the name of my family, my wife, my children, and all of my ancestors from Free Union, Jamesville, Plymouth, Roper, who were African, Tuscaroran, and European in origin, who made a common home and a fusion culture right here in the old state, North State. I'm here because of my public school teachers and my professors and my classmates from the Washington County Public Schools to North Carolina Central University to Duke University. I can only accept this award by thinking about all the people of every race, creed, color, and sexuality that helped mentor me along the way. I'm here only because of the Greenleaf Christian Church and its people who have supported me since they called me to pastor them from a wheelchair 26 years ago, when some said my career was over. I stand here in the name of the Forward Together Moral Movement, Moral Mondays, HKOJ People's Assembly, the NAACP, and all the partners who built a fusion coalition across this state to revive the heart of democracy. And I'm here tonight in the name of all the staff and the team and the board with repairers of the breach who have given themselves now and their talents to build out the Poor People's Campaign, a national call for a moral revival, where I now serve as the national co-chair, and all the people building that movement from the Appalachian Mountains to Alabama, from Kentucky to Carolina to the Californias, from Maine to Mississippi. And I also accept this award tonight in the name of the College of Affirming Bishops, bishops who have made a declaration that we will welcome all people, regardless of their race, their color, or their sexual orientation. And I accept in this way because no person pulls themselves up by their own bootstraps or exists in isolation. We are all terribly flawed and terribly insufficient in and of ourselves, who without the grace of God and the help of others would never amount to much. North Carolina, Governor, is my home, and I'm humbled to stand here among home folk. I love this state. Even when I've had to be a part of criticizing its elected leaders and policies, I have endeavored to love North Carolina by challenging it to be, rather than to seem, to be a multi-ethnic democracy. And as a preacher who comes from generations of North Carolina preachers, I want this state to remember what Jesus said, that every society will not be judged by her interstate corridor or the skyscrapers in her midst, but every society, every state, every nation will be judged how she fed the hungry, healed the sick, and welcomed the stranger and the immigrant and cared for the least of these. I and so many others want to see North Carolina fully embody the moral vision of our Constitution when it says in Article 1, Section 1, we hold these truths to be self-evident that all persons are created equal and endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, among which are life, liberty, the enjoyment of the fruit of their own labor, and the pursuit of happiness. I want to see North Carolina live out what it says in Article 11, Section 4, beneficent provision for the poor, the unfortunate, and the orphan is one of the first duties of a civilized and Christian state. When I've joined those who marched or went to jail or challenged leaders in this state, it has never been from a place of arrogance, but one of love. I love North Carolina. I love even those who have told me they hate me. North Carolina made me go to a segregated school when I was 5 years old, but I love this state. And yes, some forces have been hateful, threatening, and some have said they would do harm, but I love this state and I love its people. And those of you who have raised children would understand what I mean when I say that our most fervent human struggles are rooted in our deepest loves. So even tonight, as we gather in this black tie event, and I just left a place before I came here and saw a man eating out of a trash can and then saw another man come up and buy him food, I'm wrestling with how to love a state that honors our work while so many of its citizens are still suffering. We cannot honor God and the gift of our own existence until we ensure that the 4 million poor and low-wealth citizens of this state are lifted. We can't honor God in our own existence until we ensure that the 1,087,000 people who are uninsured have access and have health care. We cannot honor God in our own existence until the over 900,000 homeless people are housed and the over 2 million workers who make less than $15 an hour have a living wage. We can't honor God and honor our existence fully until the environment is clean, coal ash is removed, and unnecessary pipelines are not forced on the lands and the lives of poor people. We cannot honor God in our own existence until immigrants are welcomed and voting rights are secured and every child is educated to the fullest and we protect our teachers in this state. And I don't say these things as a matter of being morbid because I believe it's possible. It's possible when we ask not what is the cost if we do it, but when we ask what is the cost if we don't do it. I know it's possible. When we expand our moral imagination and dare to do better, I know that it is possible to get up from a crucified Friday and have a resurrected Sunday. And I believe there's enough for everybody to have, to prosper, and to thrive if we go forward together and refuse to take one step back. And so I leave you tonight. Doing these things is not a left issue or right issue. I wish they would stop using that anemic language in our politics. Some things are not about conservative or liberal or Republican or Democrat. It's about our religious and our constitutional duties. It's found at the moral center. It's what's required of each of us. Some things are just about what's right versus what's wrong. And working toward these ends is how I believe, and history has shown us and Scripture has shown us, that we honor God and we honor the real purpose of our lives and our existence so that our living will not be in vain. I'm grateful for this award this evening. I leave here with others to go back to work. And the truth is, one day, when this life is over, I want each of us, each and every one of us, to have lived in such a way that our living is not in vain, because we lifted one another up. Because on that day, I pray that we hear and we receive the greatest award, and that is to hear the Lord say, "Well done, thy good and faithful servant." God bless you, and I love you, North Carolina.
We thank you all for being here, and we are grateful for these award winners. As Secretary Hamilton mentioned earlier, I have a mission for North Carolina where I want people to be better educated, healthier, to have more money in their pockets so that they can live a more abundant and purposeful life. And each of our 2019 North Carolina Award recipients exemplifies this mission through their work and service to the people of our state. I want to thank Louise Coggins and John Wilson, Eleanor Owen, and the other people on our awards committee for their hard work in selecting this year's honorees. Let's give them a hand one more time. And now I want to ask the 2019 award winners to come and join me on stage. And let's one more time, let's give them all a round of applause for William Barber, Earl Britt, Philip Gerard, Deborah Proctor, Larry Wheeler, and Catherine Wilfert, our 2019 North Carolina Award winners. Thank you all. Good night, everybody.